Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical, and today for you guys I have a little bit of news speaking towards the Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy. As well, on top of that, we also have a small hint towards the possibility of Spyro coming to the PlayStation 4. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First up today, we have some brand new Crash Bandicoot PlayStation 4 gameplay, which shows us some polar bear gameplay from Crash Bandicoot 2, of course running inside the Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy. And once again, I have to say it looks absolutely beautiful. So far, we actually haven't seen any sort of snowy or ice environments, and as you guys should probably know, especially when looking towards Crash Bandicoot 2, there's quite a lot of ice environments within that game. We actually saw this level but within screenshots quite a few months ago. So to actually see this gameplay running, it looks absolutely beautiful. I think the polar bear sort of levels are some of the more funner levels found within Crash 2. And looking at this gameplay, it looks to be that the polar bear actually controls very closely to that of the PlayStation 1 version. In fact, Activision have actually provided us with a small comparison comparing the polar bear gameplay found in the PlayStation 1 version to the PlayStation 4 version. And in this comparison, we can easily see that while Crash is riding the polar bear, he jumps at the same height as he would in the PlayStation 1 version, and as well as that, he also turns at the same speed as well. This gives us a clear example that Activision as well as Vicarious Visions are working extremely hard in order to make this authentic to what the original experience was. Of course, these are only visual examples of the gameplay found within the N Sane Trilogy, so we won't actually know how good Crash controls until we get the game for ourselves. However, though, when looking towards this comparison of the PlayStation 1 version to the PlayStation 4 version, there is certainly a piece of criticism that I can actually give Activision. When looking at the PlayStation 1 version, you guys will notice that the grass on the sides and like the trees and whatnot, those colors seem to be a lot more saturated and a lot more vibrant. What I'm saying is they stick out a lot more. Now, if we look at the grass and everything to the left and right of the screen on the PlayStation 4 version of the gameplay, you guys will notice that the grass and the trees are less saturated, so there's less color. Now, I know that a lot of the levels found within the Crash Bandicoot games can be quite dull and dark, depending on what sort of theme the level is trying to go for. But of course, there's quite a few levels found within the Crash Bandicoot games that are colorful and vibrant, and there's times we're running through forests where I expect to see some lush green grass and trees. And that saturation is certainly apparent within the PlayStation 1 version, but not entirely on the PlayStation 4 version, as we can clearly see in this comparison video. However, though, it might just be specific levels found within Crash 1, Crash 2, and Crash 3 that might have less saturation than its PlayStation 1 counterpart, because when we look at the level Hang 8 found in Crash 2, when looking at it on the PlayStation 4, it looks really vibrant and full of saturation. However, though, we've seen a lot of Crash Bandicoot gameplay throughout this year running on the PlayStation 4, and so far my assumption is Activision as well as Vicarious Visions have done a pretty damn good job. I'm really looking forward to actually playing the game for myself and seeing how well the game controls later on in June. Also, gameplay seems to be releasing quite frequently for this game, with Activision showcasing different levels for mainly Crash Bandicoot 2 these days, so I gather the closer we get to the release of the N Sane Trilogy, the more gameplay we'll receive. As of right now, we actually haven't seen any gameplay towards Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, so I would say E3 is probably going to be the prime location where we'll finally see some Crash 3 gameplay. Personally, I cannot wait to see what the warp rooms look like in the PlayStation 4 version of Crash 3, so I'm pretty damn excited. And last up for today, we actually might have a potential hint towards the possibility of Spyro making his way to the PlayStation 4. So a couple of days ago, PlayStation Netherlands actually posted up this picture over on their Facebook page with the caption saying, "And the 12 points go to..." Now clearly on the picture we have Parappa the Rapper, Sackboy, Kratos from the new PlayStation 4 God of War, Crash Bandicoot, Cat from Gravity Rush, and last but certainly not least, Spyro the Dragon. Now looking towards the caption of this picture, it states, "And the 12 points go to." So I really don't know what that actually means, or if, you know, PlayStation are perhaps maybe referring to something in particular with this quote. But of course, what is certainly interesting is this is promotion of some sort coming directly from PlayStation themselves. Now you might think that my first initial thought about this poster with seeing Spyro there would be, of course, Spyro for PlayStation 4 and perhaps maybe a remaster of his first 3 games. Now obviously this is exactly what I really want to happen, but there is actually something else that this might actually point toward, and that is none other than PlayStation All-Stars 2. Now I do know that there is a group out there that actually really enjoyed All-Stars. Personally, I do own it, and yeah, it's not too bad of a sort of PlayStation version of Super Smash Bros. Per se. I only hope that the mechanics do get defined and sort of more so fine-tuned for All-Stars 2, if of course it is going to happen. But this picture right here might actually be a potential hint towards a possible All-Stars 2 for the PlayStation 4. And if that is actually the case, then I would gather that the characters that are actually on this little promotional image could possibly be some of the characters that will appear in All-Stars 2. I know a ton of people were extremely upset to find out that both Spyro and Crash didn't actually make it into the original All-Stars. To a certain point, it doesn't really make sense because of the fact that Spyro and Crash are some of the most iconic PlayStation characters there are. But of course, these different characters are all owned by certain different companies, and when looking towards both Crash Bandicoot as well as Spyro, their rights are owned by none other than Activision. Now, of course, there might be some sort of deal between the developers of All-Stars and Activision, so perhaps maybe there is the chance of seeing both Crash Bandicoot and Spyro in a PlayStation All-Stars 2. Now, let's talk about what we really want, and that is specifically looking towards the very first 3 Spyro games, all remade for the PlayStation 4. Now, of course, as of right now, we know that the Crash Bandicoot original trilogy on the PlayStation 1 is receiving this exact treatment as of right now for the PlayStation 4, and of course that remade trilogy will be getting released on the PlayStation 4 in the month of June. Now, I'd say that if the Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy turns out to be a pretty good success for Activision, then that might actually motivate them to do the same for the Spyro trilogy, because of the fact that, of course, Activision as of right now own the rights to the Spyro franchise. Vicarious Visions, which is a sub-studio part of Activision, are the ones currently behind the Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy, and from the seams of things, from just looking at the gameplay trailers that we've so far received, the game looks really great. It looks absolutely fresh and brand new with the new pretty graphics engine that it's running on, but still to the point, the game looks authentic and original to what it originally was on the PlayStation 1. Now, Vicarious Visions were also responsible for the Skylanders whole series and whatnot, and although that didn't really turn out too fantastic for Activision, I gather that Vicarious Visions would have a fair idea as to how the original Spyros kind of feel. This is why I wouldn't actually mind the Vicarious Visions studio to actually go ahead and give the Spyro trilogy the exact same treatment that Crash Bandicoot is receiving as of right now. Although only time will tell, I would say that it's very unlikely that we'll hear anything about Spyro perhaps maybe getting remade this year. Of course, there might actually be the chance of the PlayStation All-Stars 2 thing happening this year. Perhaps maybe we might see something on that at E3, but with just looking at the Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy, I really want Spyro to one day receive the exact same treatment. Of course, on the contrary, that the Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy turns out to be pretty good. Alright guys, hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Thought I'd get this news and information out to you guys. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below, and until next time guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.